And welcome to the biggest youth show in the land. Expressions is the name of the show. Apha ke kunqa phambili SABC 1. Well, with the Rugby World Cup almost underway, Expressions puts the spotlight on the country's national team, the Springboks, as well as the development of rugby as a sport in schools, especially previously disadvantaged areas. We will also be bringing attention to how we can better nurture young talent. I am Ukalosa Kalubisi Unonkanyezili, all right? Did you people?
Adiyazi Paula, nawe Melba uyayazi kodwa. Nacho Mzansi Africa, and of course I am Uliema Vumisa. Great to have you with us. This will be the 10th Rugby World Cup and could be the moment the Springboks break the world record and bring home their 4th win. And we have amazing guests on the show. I'm talking about a rugby player to even a sports analyst and even a rugby coach that will be joining us in Kubeni. But first, let's have a look at what the students of the University of Johannesburg had to say about the Rugby World Cup. Whether Mzansi Africa, are we doing enough to nurture younger talent as well as well wishes for our national team?
Definitely, I'm very excited about the World Cup. Can't wait to watch it.
I think everyone's super excited. It's our chance it's our year to defend it. It looks like it's going to come back home again.
With the bookie game against New Zealand, we won. I think we definitely have the talent to win.
If we continue on the track that we are, it should be easily defendable.
Well, I would not be excited. We're defending champs. We're coming back. Take it again. Take it again. I promise you, we're going to take it again.
If you look at South Africa and all the levels and all the different divisions and all the different competitions that there are with rugby, I definitely do think so.
I feel like South Africa is doing well, especially in terms of rugby, because they have it in schools.
There's a lot of good schools, you know, a lot of rugby schools. But again, I think there's people like in poor areas and they just don't have the same chances as people like who's got money. They don't have the same coaches, the same like opportunities.
We're backing them 100%. The whole of South Africa is behind them, and they have enough to go and do what they need to do and win it and bring it back home.
You can do it, always.
Just know the whole country's behind you and do your best.
Good luck, folks. You got this, and we're going to win the World Cup.
You've got this.
Make our country proud. I mean, with everything else that's going on, make our country proud.
Most certainly, we look forward to that Rugby World Cup, and indeed, in Liza Kusenza proud, just like those Voxies who were talking about Payana. Well, I'm trying to get to help me unpack this a really important and maybe even a light-hearted and fun conversation as we await the Rugby World Cup to start. I have the honor and pleasure of being joined in studio by Katleho Lynch, who is a South Africa under-18 rugby coach, and also St. John's College rugby coach. Also joining us is Neto Chemane, who is a sports analyst. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
A very good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
I mean, let me perhaps start with you, Neto. We're talking about rugby in its entirety. Perhaps you may, kind of like dissect it for us. How is the rugby landscape looking like currently, particularly in South Africa?
Look, in South Africa, I've got to say that rugby is one of the few sporting codes that are still very organized. I mean, if you look at the structure of rugby from high school level to tertiary level, where you get your varsity cup, until the elite level, you can see that the game is played on a very structured manner. But we've got to be considerate that not everyone can afford to go to those proper organized schools and be able to be part of rugby programs from an early age to an elite level. What about those that goes to township schools where it's actually a mission to spot a rugby field? Or even an open field, let alone a field with rugby poles, So the gap is still very much big. If I bring in the rural areas onto the table, it makes it even far much worse.
Even far worse. I mean, let me bring you in on this one, Bracket. Perhaps does it transcend, when you talk about interest, does it even transcend to schools where you find that Abandona Bezgolo, they're interested in rugby?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just in terms of already what we can see now from social media, Rugby is still a growing sport. It's a very, very well supported sport by the girls and the boys. 2 or 3 weeks ago there was a big schoolboy derby in the Cape. Paul boys, 25,000 spectators there, watching the game. There was just a recent under 18 international series where there was, young boys, 5, 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, coming to, this year's current under 18, 18s asking for pictures and, just getting that message of hope. So the interest is there. And it's exciting. It's exciting that we actually have that interest there.
I mean, Neto, can we just talk about our national team that is jetting off to France for the Rugby World Cup? Perhaps, what do you think, according to your understanding, sets apart the Springboks from any other international teams?
Look, the Springboks are super organized. The Springboks, the winning mentality starts in their minds. The Springboks players, they come from organized setups. They always want to win. They know winning is possible. They've won it on numerous occasions. If they win it now in France, it will be a record-breaking because they would have defended their title. The only nation to have done so are the All Blacks of New Zealand. And we've seen in the last preparation match, the warm-up match for the Rugby World Cup, how the Springboks even performed against the very same All Blacks team, which I can't trust because this is the same All Blacks team that beat the Springboks during the Rugby Championship. So you cannot count much out of a preparation match, but you can always celebrate the moment. But you've got to celebrate with carefulness. But these are professionals. They know that complacency is a weight that we cannot allow on camp if we want to defend this title and change the narrative and have the Springboks as the #1 rugby nation globally. But of course, there's also other nations internationally that are showing signs of growth. For an example, in our opening match of the World Cup, we'll be playing against Scotland. It's not a side you can take lightly. You've got to always prepare thoroughly and prepare like you're playing against the best that there is out there.
But also just to expand on that conversation, perhaps what are the odds, according to your understanding, of us defending our title?
Look, it would be super exciting, especially in a country where there's a whole lot of challenges in our country. You run away from a pothole on your left side, you get it on your right side. Actually, even drivers on the road, they will never be surprised if they see you swerving because they understand you're running away from something that they've just run away from. So, from a country that is loaded with so many challenges, to see the Springboks doing exceptionally well, it's a plus for the country because it brings hope, and sport has proven to be one element that is able to bring back everyone together, regardless of race, regardless of historical challenges we may have, but it is only through sport because when a try is scored, everyone celebrates and they forget about color, But it's only when you go back to the reality of life that you realize that actually we still have a whole lot of challenges, but it is through sport, it is through superb performance of the Springboks that we deserve to celebrate as a country.
And I also believe that rainbow nation will most certainly suffice whenever that first try is scored by our national team. But let me bring in perhaps a very different perspective now to this conversation, Wenabra Ket, because we talk about nurturing young talent. Perhaps according to your understanding, as it stands, particularly here in South African landscape when it comes to rugby, do you think it is being done even to that level that we should be doing it, cultivating young children in certain schools to teach them about rugby and enforce that, mentality and skill of rugby at such a young age?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's two different sections to it. There's obviously the advantage or privilege, sort of schools or programs where, the boys and the players and the girls are given opportunity to go through a proper strength and conditioning program, because it's a very important part of your rugby development and obviously taking you to that level. Making sure that the technical aspect of the game that you're getting, great quality content, and that's definitely happening at the higher end of our institutions. Is obviously the bottom end. I think we still need to invest a lot. And like we just spoke now about the box and why we think they're going to do well. Why we're going to do well, I also think is because there's just too much talent. There's 9 guys that have missed the plane, but obviously due to injury. But the 33 guys that have been picked equally good enough to make, a World 15, So there's definitely, a lot that we can still do at the bottom end, just in terms of infrastructures, investment, great coaching, great, facilities, just to make sure that we can just develop that talent, at the bottom end to come through quicker than rather than later.
Okay, all right. So we have to take a quick commercial ad break, but there you have it. We're talking about the Rugby World Cup, and also even just touching on some of the issues that young people still continue to face on a daily. But we shall continue with that conversation in a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You are still tuning into the biggest youth show in the land, Expressions. It is, of course, we are talking about the Rugby World Cup and how to better develop young talent at our schools. The question is, are we doing enough to nurture young rugby talent? And speaking of talent, in studio we are joined by the former junior Springbok and Golden Lions player, Siyemukela Ndlovu. Bayete.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
Very
Yabona
well,
question is thakazelo zakho. Kodwa ukatsheni ukhona. Yes. Are you super excited with the World Cup?
Definitely thrilled. I think excitement is an understatement, actually. I think everyone has bought their tickets. Everyone has put the reminder on for Sunday's game and all the games going forward. I think all the younger, aspiring rugby players definitely have set that down on their calendars.
Amazing. And one thing I want to get to, because I know that you also play rugby, you are exposed in the sport. Can you share some of the success stories? What were you able to achieve while you were in the sport?
Geez, there's so many. I can count all night. I think first and foremost, I've had obviously the privilege and honor to captain the junior Springbok side. Obviously been involved with the Lions under 20 Kai Cup winning championship back in 2021. Then also back in high school, played Craven, captain Craven. So it's been really an amazing journey coming to Joburg. I think it has opened doors that one can never take for granted. And especially getting a scholarship, getting the opportunity to go to a multiracial school, and all the kids that you come across, the people you meet. I think networking is very important. It is that your network determines your network. So I've really built friendships and relationships that I would have never thought that I would be exposed to.
Amazing. I mean, speaking of network, as Expressions, we went straight to the ground to hear from young people. Do you think that enough is being done to nurture young talent? This is what you had to say.
It's bringing exposure to the country within rugby, not just international rugby for SA, but everyone in the country is embracing the spirit of World Cup and rugby.
I believe that we have a very good chance of being the first team to win 4 World Cups, especially after last week's result against the All Blacks.
It's a chance for the Springboks to show their muscle once again and defend the World Cup, and hopefully successfully, which has never been done before.
There's Varsika, for example. There's all the different divisions. Schoolboy rugby is taking off, the little kids, barefoot rugby. So yes, I definitely think we're doing enough.
I don't really believe so, because it's always the same people, same players. No one is actually coming back and giving back to the community.
I believe we have a very good school system, but it's not inclusive enough. Inclusivity can be increased, and if we can increase the inclusivity, then I believe we can increase the talent pool.
I'd say good luck to the Bucks. We hope that they do well and they bring the cup home with them.
I just want to say good luck to the boys. I know you guys will do your best. You're going to bring it home for us. I hope you bring it home for us. But yeah, back here at home, we're backing you guys 100%. 100%.
I'd love to wish the Springboks good luck, and we know they're going to bring it home. With that squad, it's looking very amazing.
Go get them, bro. Beat them. We got to win.
We got to win. Voxes from the streets. I mean, young people on the streets, they are sharing their well wishes. And looking at our captain, Siyemukela Ndlovu, I mean, his story is just really powerful. I mean, it's proof that possibilities are endless. Knowing that, I mean, he grew up in challenging circumstances, but look at where he is today. I mean, what can we do to nurture more Siyakolis, especially in rural areas?
I think the other gentleman mentioned it's got to do with a lot of investments. I mean, it's systematic, so we need to really try invest, obviously, definitely more in the rural areas, in the township schools. Let those kids get more exposure. I think if we could pump more coaching and people that are obviously well equipped for the rugby knowledge and everything, and just more investing and getting those kids exposed and introducing them to rugby, because I think rugby is still foreign. If you go very deep in KZN, we're only exposed to soccer, literally it's soccer, stick fighting when you go really deep down. So rugby is still foreign to other communities. So I think it's mostly just more investment and introducing rugby to the smaller schools and smaller townships and rural areas.
And we are crossing fingers that they bring the victory home.
Yeah, definitely it's happening. You know, people are saying it's going to come back home. I'm saying it's staying where it belongs. It's not leaving anyway. It's 70 saying it is where it belongs. And New Zealand has done it, so why can't we do it?
Why can't we do it? Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your success story.
Thank you.
Right in Bugeliwe Expressions. Make sure that you do not move a muscle, and make sure that you keep your eyes glued on Sunday, because Ziawa France, you cannot afford to miss it. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Stogos and Bogeli, welcome back. Thanks so very much for staying with us at La Ohlelweni Expressions on SABC 1. Well, we talk about developing rugby, particularly for younger children. And of course, still joining us is Bracket and also Neto to help us discuss this a little bit further as we near the wrap of it. Maybe let me start with you, Bracket. Perhaps, you know, Siyemukela on the other side, who was talking to Kolasa, was mentioning the fact that he comes from a multiracial school. But you'd find that for ordinary young children, that's not the case. So perhaps how do we demystify the notion that a superb rugby player will come from a Model C school? How do we filter down all of those facilities and opportunities to an ordinary child from a Kwak?
Yeah, and again, I think this comes back down to unions getting a little bit more involved in terms of franchises. Because what you also tend to find is that most of them go to the same school. And then obviously that talent and that opportunity is obviously not spread up. I think that's where it starts. And then obviously for the schools to just make sure that they're looking after them, giving them the opportunities, giving them the right training. Not necessarily all about rugby, but also just investing in the human side of it, teaching them about education and just making sure that, as much as you want to try and build them to achieve the goals and be great rugby players, but also just to make sure that they're great, fantastic human beings that can contribute to society in the future. It's just a matter of, I think we've been speaking about investment this whole evening. Yeah. We just need to make sure that, that's applied, and obviously applied to obviously in the right and the correct manner and to the appropriate, facilities and environments.
Yeah. Neto, perhaps let's look ahead with this Rugby World Cup that's about to commence shortly this coming weekend. So perhaps... what can you say are sort of the challenges or impediments that, our national team can encounter, which may probably set them a bit backwards?
Look, when you are doing great, there's always someone who's monitoring you. There's always someone who wants to do better than you. That's why they say, in order to be the best, you've got to play against the best and beat the best. Now, you can't allow a scenario where you think you've arrived just because you've been doing well recently, because there's someone who's doing a proper and a thorough homework about the secret of winning that you've actually tabled, as a team. So they've got to watch out about, they can't allow, not even a moment. Rugby is a sport of 80 minutes duration. They've got to play the sport of rugby for the entire 80 minutes and turn those possible challenges into winning methods and make certain that they do the right thing and bring it back to Mzansi where it belongs.
Yeah. Bracket, so as we wrap this up, perhaps your message of support even to the young children now. I know you're a rugby coach for under 18, so perhaps what sort of message can you give to them just to say that you're on the right track? Excuse the pun, right track. So just to say you're on the right track and that, things will look out and eventually you'll be the next Siya Kolisi of this day.
Yeah, for me, the message is just to make sure that, the players and the kids and the boys and the girls just keep working hard on themselves. They must not give up on their dreams, not give up on their goals. They need to dream big, big, big. Siya dreamed big, Lukanya dreamed big, Makazole Mapimpi dreamed big. Yeah. And, the household names now. And, if they just carry on that path and just stay focused and dedicated and driven to the goal, there'll be more of those, national heroes and worldwide heroes. Just stay in the game, stay in the fight, keep your head up on the field, and then obviously your head down in your books.
Neto, your well wishes for our team?
Look, I'm just going to put it nicely.
Yeah.
This is the winning team. They must just do the right thing.
I thought, by the way, analysts are supposed to be, you know, neutral.
I always, yeah, no, but at the end of the day, you can be neutral all you want, but the heart belongs somewhere.
No, I get you, totally.
I always say, number 2 is the first of the winners. So they must just grab the top spot so that we remain the winners. Because if you finish second, you can celebrate because you've beaten those that come after you, but you are still beaten by someone. So the first of the winners is top position.
Thank you very much. Well, there you have it, Mbogediwe Expressions. That is, of course, Neto Chemane, who's a sports analyst, and also joining us was Katleho Lynch, who is a rugby coach for the under-18. As we talk all things rugby kolo,
yes, we are coming for everything they thought we couldn't have. As Siyemukela Expressions. Gwijo Avenue, Bangangile. Take it away.
Yeah.